Good afternoon, Free Enterprise, or good morning if you're on the West Coast, or good evening if you're in Europe. To this, the Adamant Cup Group Round Artemis Bow play-in between PlumeriaKnight and JohnBirckhead. I am Ant. Joining me on the Restream team today, behind the scenes on the actual Restream itself, is Scala Kitty. On tracking is Beauty and Discovery, and my co-commentator today is NG Dave. Welcome, NG Dave. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great today. We've got ourselves a fantastic play-in race between PlumeriaKnight and JohnBirckhead for the right to play Loof in the round of 32.
Loof is one of those names that's been around the community for a few tournaments now, and he's sort of one of those ones that I don't hear a lot about outside of tournament time because he's just not around as much outside of tournament time, but is definitely a big threat. So whoever wins this race still has their work cut out for him getting through the brackets once they get through this. And, you know, these are two very, very good runners as well. I'm expecting a very close one today.
Agreed. Both of these runners are showing us their skill at this game throughout the tournament.
Absolutely. I'll be interested in seeing what the objectives are. Still on the renaming part. Very important that we get the renaming done. Always one of the most crucial parts, but it's looking like we've got quite the spread, and this might actually be one of the longer seeds here with how many different key items are required.
It looks like from these objectives, we are sending our runners all over the world, doing a little cave diving through the Twin Harp. A guaranteed moon trip through Cape Bahamut, and who knows, the whole rest of the moon might be required too.
Yeah, looking at these objectives, this is an 8 out of 17 key items required. We need the Darkness Crystal to get up to Cave Bahamut. We need both pieces of Forge. We need the Tower Key. We need the Sand Ruby. Need the Pan. Need the Hook. And need the Twin Harp. So either way, I think what's going to be very important whenever I see seeds like this is very much where you go early on and where you sort of really devote your time to clearing out. The sort of big question of do you stay on the Earth, keep clearing that out, or go to the moon is going to be really important today.
And I think that's going to come down to, do either of our runners feel confident they can handle an early moon dive?
Yeah, with a Porum start, early moon dive seems a bit spookier than it might be if we had like a Edge start or someone else. That's Palom. Sorry, I thought it was Porum, and I'm bad at recognizing sprites.
Porum's got the little extra bit of hair in the front. That's how I can tell them apart easily.
You know, very important. Thank you both to Scala behind the scenes, and also to you, Dave, for correcting me on that. Let's see what we got for our partner here.
Well, we got Team Mage to start things off.
Well, there's one of our required key items with that pan as well, and I love seeing an early pan in any flag set, because that immediately makes the question, how long can you go without Fabul? Also, 2 coffins and an hourglass in that kit. This is good.
That drew my attention right away, those 3 tier 5 J items in the starting kit. That means if our other runner's getting around early and can find a siren somewhere, that's an early egg. That's Quake on Palom.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of think, you know, one of the twins plus Tella, your sort of instinct is, oh, that's kind of a weak start. But this is not too bad in general. You could go maybe take on some of those trap chests in Evelyn with those hourglasses if you wanted to fish for some gear. And it looks like JohnBirckhead is going to go loot out Watery Pass, and PlumeriaKnight is going to go on head over here and find out what the key item is from Bedward.
Hey, that's a nice little bit of vanilla to start things off.
Ooh, that's a very good bit of vanilla, because the first 2 key items we've found are 2 of those 8 key items required to get through this seed. We're basically an 1/8 of the way in to what we actually need to finish this game, and we've just barely even gotten started. Meanwhile, JohnBirckhead finding an light sword here in the back of Watery Pass. Well, not in the back of Watery Pass, but the back of the secret waterfall cave. So it will be very good if we find a Cecil early.
And the Charm Rod found there, it's a nice plus 10 wisdom for Palom, especially once Palom picks up the level 2 elemental.
Yeah, definitely. I'm interested to see. We know PlumeriaKnight did not go to that public treasury. I'm interested in seeing if John goes for that public treasury here with that tele where you can just sort of exit out the right location anyways and get a good little tiny bit of a early spike. But overall, I think we're pretty good right now.
I would not mind the public treasury here, just because lower tier you could get a J item, maybe a big bomb or a Zeus Rage to help clear one check, get Palom's first level 2s.
Yep. And also important over on PlumeriaKnight's side, I believe I just saw a Cursed Ring pulled out of the backside of Watery Pass with that Tela in hand. And if you find a Fu later, sort of improvement to Tela, we've got our entire agility situation figured out over on that side already.
Well, I asked for J items. The public treasury said, nah, don't feel like it.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff for characters we don't have. Bandana, Strength Ring, Boomerang. It's good. Like, if we find an edge, we'll at least have him back road. We'll have a Strength Ring. We'll have some good things going on there. But right now, can't really make any use of it.
Power Staff might be useful for an opening check to let Tela swing away.
It could be also useful for an opening check over on John's side. Seeing this charm arrows in a shop, that's pretty strong arrows that you can find early on, so definitely something that'll give him a nice little bit of a power boost should he find a good bow to go along with them.
It looks like Plumeria is done with his looting. We'll see where he decides to go from here.
Yeah, I think there's a certain temptation when you have this Palom Tele start to think, all right, I kind of want to keep looting. I want to try and find, like you said, some of those J items that'll help me get through some of these early checks. Big question becomes, when do you actually start? And PlumeriaKnight is going to actually start here, going with this Mount Hobbs check.
And we did see JohnBirckhead do a little bit of shopping before going out and decide, if I can't find J items, I'm just going to buy some vampires.
Vampires are a good find. Rosa also a good find, especially with this free boss here. And it is the actual Baron guards, kind of the more difficult of the two guard sprite fights, in my opinion. So good to find them early and not have to deal with them. Just going to turn them into pigs, and that's it.
Now, while turning them into pigs prevents the mini counter, piggies can still cast Piggy.
Yeah, but pigs are adorable. I don't really view that as a downside. I mean, look at him. That Tela has been improved by being turned into a pig.
I can't argue with that at all.
It's like food in the like early 2010s where everything was about adding bacon to everything. Free Enterprise is a game where if you add pig to everything, it really does improve it. But Plumeria through this fight, JohnBirckhead kind of just now hitting it. The coffins used already on Plumeria's side might be a little bit of a problem if he tries to get some of those eggs down later, but getting through it quickly could be more of a benefit here.
And we see JohnBirckhead immediately leveraging the vampires that were purchased to quickly take out both guards.
Yeah, shops in this flag set often feel not great, but sometimes you just do find that one item that really helps you get through, and not having to use those coffins like Plumeria did to get through the fight in basically the same amount of time, definitely a benefit. Plumeria also finding on the back side of Mount Hobbs here a Gaia drum, which could be used to get through an early check as well.
And that Gaia drum I expect we're going to see thrown fairly soon. Possibly at Antlion, maybe at Ordeals, or I expect both runners are going to try to fade Fabul having the pan in hand.
I would tend to think so. I think the only chance we'll see Fabul before Underground is if we hit a hook somewhere and both of our runners are exactly of the mind of, you know what? If it's a magma key at Fabul, I'm going to be losing more time on that hook route than I would lose from double dipping Fabul. But other than that, I kind of am expecting we won't see it, which does make the routing a little bit more interesting, because now you're not really able to use that free heal at the start of Fabul and the free heal afterwards to kind of make it a completely non-dangerous check. You have to actually consider where you're going to get that healing from at some point.
That's very true. So we could see our runners head up ordeals to get the free heal in the changing room there.
Certainly is a possibility. They might face check Baron in and try and get that down as well. But on the whole, you know, Rubicant down here at this antlion spot, not going to be particularly difficult. And Plumeria trying to decide to just going to go with the Ice 2 off of Palom.
Yeah. Palom's going to very easily one-shot this Rubicon with an Ice 2.
Yeah, it's definitely good finding him where you're not going to be dealing with a large HP pool, because glare in most spots where you're going to be hitting that Rubicant fight is probably going to kill a party member. So getting him before he would ever possibly have enough health to live long enough to get to glare is always a possibility. Although over on John's side does have that Palom fall to that glare.
And we saw JohnBirckhead bluff once with Palom first, so the Ice 2 got delayed a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate there. Plumeria has pulled the tower key out of Antlion, so we have 8 required key items, and we're now 3 for 3 in pulling them, which I guess is kind of expected. You know, when half the key items in the game are required for you in order to beat the seed, chances are you're going to find a lot of them early.
All we need is for our restreamers Scala to have hidden one of them buried somewhere deep.
I'm trying to think of what the most obnoxious place to hide a key item is in these objectives. And these objectives feel so wide that it's kind of hard thinking of a place that would be explicitly bad. We are seeing both Plumeria and John going for this Fabul fight, though.
And it's a mile on Z, so a single fire 2 will most likely end this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a fan of I'm kind of a fan of going to Fabul anyways, even with the pan, if you're not 100% sure you can get through that ordeals or through that Baron in particularly quickly, because it's probably going to be quicker double dipping Fabul than it is going to be struggling through those other fights if you can find something to get you around them here.
That is very true. I'm personally a fan of fading Fabul if I get the pan in the first few checks like that.
Yeah, definitely many different strategies you can have around it. Obviously, you would probably know better than I did. You're already in the bracket round like that, so...
Oh, that strategy has bitten me on more than one occasion, so make of that what you will.
Yeah, sometimes just rando gonna rando. That's just gonna be how it is. Plumeria easily through this Mylon Z fight. John also probably not gonna have too much of a problem. That Fire 2 going off as well. And I did not catch that. That's just a power shirt.
Power shirt. I mean, good for Rosa. You could have power shirt, power staff, and let Rosa hit things.
We're in very good shape to let Rosa hit things. We're doing pretty well. We've got like none of the characters that you immediately mentally associate with big power, but we've still got quite a bit of power on this team already. And I don't mean just the shirt.
Yeah, you mean the staff too.
Exactly. We've got double power. That's all that matters.
And we got a chat pointing out we found Strength Ring, Power Shirt, Bandana. Be fantastic for any of the big melee characters.
But where are they? That is the big question. I am so wondering who is at Baronin right now, because that could be a big change in how we're approaching some things here, but it looks like John's just going to head straight to Ordeals, and Plumeria is going to be the one to head over to Baronin.
Interesting bit of divergence here. Mary may want the 4th character first. They want to see who it is, seeing all the strength gear.
Well, we have Sylph, so this Rydia is not the worst immediate pickup. You can always get rid of her later. You can maybe make some good use of her right now.
And just a Paladin at spot 1, that's... Well, with the main space party, kind of rude. The Palom's level 2 elementals aren't going to do much here.
Yeah, and that Pale Dim is going to be kind of hitting a little bit spicily just on this party, just from not really having much in terms of huge defense and not really having much in terms of levels just to get that HP pool going. So a little bit rough there. And Odin in the second spot, that one's a bit easier.
Yeah, Odin having a heavy lightning weakness. Fallon's going to do some work with Lit too, but this spot still punches very, very hard.
It does become a little bit of a DPS race there, but I think we should be fine. Meanwhile, John's just finding an Octomam up here, and no, not quite fine there. That's a bit too spicy.
Yeah, that second punch went exactly where Plumeria didn't want it to go.
Yeah, smart move though, just saying, you know what, I don't need to do this right now. It's just Iridia. I'm not getting a huge benefit out of Iridia. I might as well go up Mount Ordeals, get Tella all of his utility spells like Blink and like that to get through the fight and just keep going. Unfortunate that he'll lose some time there, but Rando gonna Rando again.
I could see if that were, say, Edge especially, it would be worth struggle busting through that fight.
Definitely also, as was pointed out in chat, we can have like Lit 3 available on that Tella as well. You cast that Odin's probably dead in one shot as well, as long as Tella lives through it. Only Dark Imps on the backside of this Mount Ordeal is not particularly scary with all the J items that we have. They can be a bit punchy, but this is not the punchiest spot.
Yeah, I've seen Gaia Drum, Big Bomb picked up. Those are large throughout the Dark Imps.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we're very fortunate that we found so many of those, you know, big J items that can knock it up. Not quite getting it, just not quite having the value off of it there. Another big bomb to go though, and this should take care of it.
Yeah, this is a fantastic spot to just throw all your AoE J items. They tend to lose value fairly rapidly after, say, Baron in.
Yeah, definitely. You kind of want to blow them all on the overworld before you start getting into those later fights here. And John, through very quickly and very convincingly, going to be heading into this crystal room to find out what the key item is.
I see PlumeriaKnight coming hot on JohnBirckhead's heels coming through the Mount Ordeals.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because Plumeria was a little bit ahead, I feel, going through a lot of that overworld. Unfortunately lost that time due to the failed Baron in check. Going back to save before heading over to the other side here, and only really seeing a crystal ring up here, which means our underground access is either behind that Twin Harp or behind that Odin at the Yang spot in Baron Inn.
Well, I wouldn't be upset with either of those, really. I mean, obviously we want it behind Twin Harp so we can get the harp music going.
Yeah, I almost kind of feel like outside of this party not being a great party for a hook route, you're not too upset if this feat ends up being a hook route either, because, you know, Launch the Falcon being an objective, you could have two of those off the table already, while Magma Key might sort of open up the underground quicker, and you might have an easier time with the hook route later. It's one of those things where you're going down that hook route anyways. It kind of feels nice if it's on that thing, as long as it's not too difficult.
So you're saying you don't want to see Kenatsu at Rubicon?
I'm saying I want to see it. I'm just speaking from the perspective of the runners here at the moment. I want to see Kenatsu at the Rubicon spot and like Evil Wall at King Queen or something else. Just that can really be a bit obnoxious to get through there.
That would certainly make for a fun hook route, especially with these characters.
Definitely, and Plumeria now through that fight, it feels like Plumeria is consistently catching up time on every fight as well, too.
I would agree with that. We've seen just crisp execution from Plumeria so far this seed.
Yeah, and as Rybon pointing out in chat, hook route probably a pretty big advantage to Plumeria. I believe Plumeria is the one who pulled the cursed ring as well, so anchoring situation sorted out for the hook route too. I think there's a sort of real big pressure. John obviously doesn't know it, sort of you kind of can only play your own race, but there's a big pressure on him to find that underground access and hope that it's Magma Key right now.
I don't remember if I saw both runners pick up that curse string.
Only one of them picked up the curse string. I remember now it was Plumeria, because he went very, very deep in that backside of the watery pass, sort of basically all the way through, and really, really looted it out and found the curse string back there. So John not spending as much time looting, unfortunately not finding that there. Does find an assassin dagger in the pot and Baron Inn. Unfortunately, no one really to wield yet, and not really a lot of use with this party.
Oh, and Rosa there, leaving 8 HP on the pale dim after that first shot.
That's one of those things that's just annoying when you know that you just left the boss with like a single digit of HP left, and if it had rolled a little bit higher, that it would have gotten out. But easily getting through here. We do have lit arrows available. We're going to equip those to Rosa here. I believe we have... Well, there goes Palom. What do we do from here?
Pick the kid up, apparently.
I would be very tempted to cast Blink first on Tella and then on that Rosa and just keep the two of them up and then not really worry about that Palom at this point, although Virus going off is going to do a lot of damage regardless, and John threw very, very easily.
Yeah, fortunately that spot is slow, so no real concern about punches coming out too quickly. And we've got ourselves required Twin Harp for underground access.
The big question, is it Hook or is it Magma Key? And how do we get through that to Cave Magnus spot in this seed where we've got a Palom, a Rydia, a Tella, and a Rosa? We're kind of just hoping that we have enough physical damage to get through, because that spot extremely resistant to magic.
My guess? Rosa Smash.
Rosa Smash and hope that it's a good boss for it. I think at this point in time, you know, a bit, I don't want to say unfortunate that we've got some of the easy bosses out of the way, because I like seeing our runners being challenged, but it is a bit complicated here.
There was some talk about a curse string being picked up of Mary. Rydia, keeping Rydia face down works as an anchor if you need to.
Definitely. It looks like John's next move is going to be the Castle Ebel play.
So JohnBirckhead, we do know there's an hourglass in the starter kit. So might just be looking for a little bit of extra XP before diving into Twin Harp. And seeing some of the bosses that are still in the pool, not a terrible idea.
Yeah, definitely not. And, you know, if you happen to do some of these trap chests with those hourglasses you have, you know, an adamant armor is an adamant armor. And definitely a possibility.
Adamant armor is a good thing. You could get, say, an Artemis bow. You could get, I think what else would really be good for this party?
It's kind of hard to say, because when you think of like mages, you think of real heavy like levels over gear. I guess if you pulled a really good summon for Rydia, you might be tempted to keep her alive and use her later. Like if you find that Leviathan or Bahamut somewhere, you might be a bit tempted. But other than that, there's not a lot of big ticket items that make me think, wow, this will fix all the problems that we have right here.
So, an interesting strategy you could try for would be to put Tella in the center slot and anchor with him throughout the castle. Not so much for the anchoring, but for stone.
Yeah, I really, really like this play on Plumeria's side, just going for getting the stone casts out. We do see that John not necessarily struggling to get through these fights, but they're a little bit slow. Taking a lot of turns to get through these Black Cats and Lamias here, and Plumeria, as long as Tella hits, will only take one turn, but that is always a pretty big if.
Some quick napkin math says it's, you know, we'll call it roughly a 50-50 if Tella hits with stone. Either he does or he doesn't.
Exactly. That is how it works. And there's that Artemis bow. That's something that'll get us through that fight pretty easily.
that appears to be what Plumeria's up to. There's the stone cast coming out.
Yeah, and we'll see how much of a difference this makes as John just barely getting the 2 black cats down. Plumeria has, during the time in which John has taken in this fight, gotten through all of the chests that John's already looted and now is through the fight first.
The old man taking care of Plumeria. Just a Zeus gauntlet, so yeah, if we find an edge, that edge is going to have all the armor.
We're in real good shape to find a character that can use some of this stuff, but we just haven't found it yet. The question is, do our runners keep looting? We know Plumeria is going to continue looting here with that Artemis bow, but John's just going to leave.
Did John pick up that Artemis bow too?
I think so, because his looting path, I believe, would have taken him through that same position that was there. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he did. If not, that's a bit unfortunate. I don't really know why he would leave otherwise in that case. Obviously, we can find out later, but it's a big question now. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he did.
Speaking of Edge, oh boy, is Plumeria's Edge going to be happy if he makes an appearance.
I would like Edge on the Giant. Possum pointing out in chat, possible that John just wanted Berserk on Rosa. I'm not sure. We're not sure if Rosa got to that Berserk point or not, but it is definitely possible.
And that makes sense. Just having the Zerk cast should with a power shirt, a headband on Rosa should be enough to shoot your way through anything in Seal or in Cave Magnus.
Yeah, I mean, if this doesn't turn out for Plumeria to be anything out of this last trap chest here, then this sort of is becoming a kind of theoretical good play that's completely contingent on us finding that edge somewhere, and on that Artemis bow making up enough time that he's spending clearing out all these chests to be worthwhile. I think that's kind of a pretty big if just at the moment. Obviously, we'll see the long term, but right now I'm not seeing a ton of value out of this Evelyn play yet.
Not yet. We did see Tello whiff his first, 2 stone whiffs. Tello, you okay?
Tella's doing Tella things again, and that's always deeply unfortunate.
Tella's doing his best.
He's doing his best, and sometimes it just does not work out the way you want it to. Are we going to have... Nope, Stone 3 fails as well. That Stone 3 is in the 3rd cast of Stone, not like a Stone kind of thing here.
Yeah, we're getting into, there we go.
1 out of 4 is not bad.
Tello is 50% throughout the castle, and that's an adamant armor.
Well, I think this looting is paid off now. We have spiked the 1 exact item that you are hunting for out of this, and the clock is ticking now on John's side to either go back or just really, really keep going here. If this is a hook route, then Plumeria is going to have an absolutely huge advantage. If it's a magma route, then Plumeria probably has a fairly large advantage, but not completely insurmountable.
That said, we do see JohnBirckhead having gone through Cave Magnus while this is going on, getting the spell broken by Eddie, so I believe it's time for us to be quiet while DJ Spoony B plays some of his tunes.
What a uniquely annoying boss to find at the bottom of Cave Magnus when you only have one character that's really doing any physical damage. Mylon and friends there, giving the Magma Key. Very good news for John, because this opens the seed in a way that is going to give him more outs to sort of keep at bay Plumeria's Adamant Armor advantage.
Yeah, agreed. A hook here could have... Well, a hook might have pushed JohnBirckhead to go back and clear out the rest of Evelyn Castle as well.
It is kind of, swings and roundabouts on that a little bit. The sort of advantage of Magma Key in this case is that if they take two different paths and John picks the right one, it's not impossible to beat an Adamant Armor advantage in these flags. I've seen it in this tournament. I've seen Adamant Armor Crystal Sword Cecil be beaten by no Cecil in this tournament. It's certainly possible. This is probably one of those things that could be really, really good news for John here, because if he did go back and loot out Evelyn, he is just following in Plumeria's footsteps again.
That's very, very true.
The big question is, with this Magma Key in hand, the second key item, or the first key item that I guess second actually, Rat Tail included in there, the second key item that we've seen throughout the seed that does not contribute to us actually beating the seed, where do you go? What do these freebies give us, and how much does the seed open up now that we have this underground available to us?
Well, the first thing we do is find out Job Dwarf is a door-to-door salesman today. That's a job I haven't heard in a long time.
He can't be a very good door-to-door salesman. He only ever stays in that one room. What door is he going to? He's going to the same door, and that leads to outside. There's no guarantee anyone's going to be there. He needs to get out and really sort of make things on the road if he wants to make a good commission.
That's a very good point. It's just the same doors over and over, even if he leaves that room. It's, the doors of Tamra. Can't even get to the Dwarf Castle. There's all these hills and lava in the way.
I like to think that towns in this game operate on like Pokemon rules, where it's like there's implied houses off screen outside of these few buildings here. I mean, look, there's at least 8 just from the sprites on the actual world map. John is going to go and head straight down into Feymarch, check the freebies. Plumeria wants a character heading into Dwarf Castle and gonna have this Asura fight.
That's probably where I would go first, seeing this party and having seen all the good stuff for Melee at this point. You gotta find one at some point, right? Right?
How much do you want to find a melee if you eventually hit a point where you could do like reflect strats on Zeromus because you're really committed to having a bunch of people who'd be good for it?
That's a very good point, dude. I mean, if we find Sirens available, Mary could just, sit around, make a giant omelet, turn it into Nuke White, and call it done.
Yeah, I don't think we're at the point where you would consider reflect strats yet, because if we find a Berserker, we've still got plenty of time. But if we don't find one within the next, 20 minutes or so, we might be hitting into, all right, we're already committed to this party territory.
And the party we have now is a perfectly fine endgame party. You just need to get 1 million XP.
Well, one of the benefits of this particular set of objectives is now that we have that Magma Key in hand and we have that Rat Tail in hand, you are guaranteed to hit 10 key items. John has found a blue robe at the king spot. Is it Good King Alt Gauntlet? It sure is.
Oh boy. So we know it's elements at the queen spot, Alt Gauntlet at the king spot. That's a fun Feymarch.
I don't like it very much, and there is Porum. That is not a character that you're taking and not the character you're hoping for. And a Val on the second side here, which should be fine. I mean, Rosa can aim if worse comes to worse.
Yeah, Rosa's aim gets through a tornado. Rosa just has enough multipliers to say what dodge rolls.
Yeah, but it looks like John is going to consider doing Dwarf Castle as well. That tent probably means that he's going to actually take this check. And we'll see how he gets through this. He might have a little bit rougher of a time getting through just due to not having as much power on that Rosa.
And Xenocat in chat pointing out, this spot has no magic evade. Palom will make short work of that Valvalis. So fantastic spot to find Val. And makes Mage Strats a lot more viable. The biggest threat to Mage Strats is now off the table.
Indeed. I mean, if you wanted to go for it, it's giving you all the pieces for it. You could pick that Rydia up, I guess, on Plumeria's side, not so much on John's side. Teach herself, get her going a little bit, have her ready to go. But again, you're contributing a lot of time into that, and we just need to kind of find one more character check, and we're probably going to find someone who can be a Berserker in this seed.
I mean, that character check could be Fu or Dupe, and the seed just keeps telling you, go mages.
If it's a Fu, that's an entirely big question there. Who do you dump off for the Fu? Do you get rid of the Teller, or do you get rid of the Rydia that's on the floor and just try and use Tella as your anchor at that point?
In Plumeria's side, Fu sticks around, Tella goes away, Fu gets cursed, everyone gets nuke, and the seed explodes.
Yeah, we are actually seeing the Rydia revived here, as we have found Leviathan over in the Dwarf Castle item shop. So real big benefit to keeping that Rydia up, and Plumeria is going to be really rewarded for that early looting, finding that cursed ring now. Still no pan yet.
We've not seen a pan turn, and Plumeria went directly to Dwarf Castle after getting underground. May just be trying to do a full clear of the underground in one sweep, having both the pan and tower key in hand already.
Yeah, we're at a point where we still need about, well, we have the Adamant Rock now, but we still need 4 more key items. You might as well delay it. You're only going to get 3 at most out. You might as well do tower and just clear out the whole thing, I guess.
Yeah, if you plan on clearing everything else out too, you don't necessarily need to go immediately down and bonk Yang. So this routing is perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, John, unfortunately, I believe just took a wipe to Asura there, so gonna have to do that fight again.
Yeah, this spot hits deceptively hard.
It's one of those boss fights that you think won't be a problem, and then it ends up being a problem just once you're fully comfortable. So not really doing too great there. As Unicat pointing out in chat, the fast anchoring that John has is really not helping because the walls are just running out.
The wall ran out on Asura and got a Cure 4 off. That's what happened.
Yes. Very unfortunate.
We know this is Water Hag in the Super Cannon room. Not a boss you want to see here as a runner.
No, you want to see something that you can bonk once and it's done. Water Hag, really, there's no great benefit to finding him here because you're still stuck waiting through this cutscene regardless. So a little bit unfortunate.
It slows the fight down a lot. Rather than one swing and out, you're 3 swings plus Anna chatting and out.
Yeah, the only real positive here is that we do have this Destroy the Super Cannon required as an objective, so he knows he's not losing time by checking this, because John's going to have to go through this fight at some point in time.
Right, and that's a benefit to any time you see a Rude boss location like this. You know your opponent's got to deal with it too.
100%. I'm really hoping that we see a Darkness Crystal soon. That's going to be the big decision point.
We are slowly running out, quickly actually, in this case, running out of places it can be.
Yeah, off the top of my head, we got quite a few. I think we got a total of 7 or 8 places right now. We got top of tower, we've got Super Cannon, we've got all 3 pan-related checks, we've got the 2 bosses in Feymark. So that's 7 places it could still be right now. So this is still fairly wide open, but yeah, they're going to get run out very quickly.
JohnBirckhead seems to have this Asura much better under control, and is through it. So great job adjusting to the fight.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Plumeria has reached the top of tower. We are going to know that we have an antlion at that Rubicon spot on the hook route, and we have Magus Sisters here at this Luge spot at the top of the tower.
We did see PlumeriaKnight switch to an Elven bow before taking this fight. Elven bow, having mage slaying property, is going to allow Rosa to do quad damage to these mages.
Yeah, I think this is actually one of the better fights that we could have found here. Rosa's gonna just completely shred them. They're not gonna be too much of a threat because adamant armor, blocking elements, Rosa should be fine. As long as that Palom doesn't go down before getting that Quake off, this is gonna be a very, very quick fight, relatively speaking.
And we see Rosa putting out 3,800 damage already. She's got no time to deal with the sisters.
Yep, Sandy already gone. Hitting Cindy. Cindy not going to be able to tank that one. Shouldn't be too long, though. Meanwhile, John has very quickly dispatched that Valvalis and is through that Dwarf Castle check, going to pick up his... well, was it Adamant Rock here or Adamant Rock in Feymarch?
It was an Adamant Rock here.
I thought it was, but I also admit that I missed the Feymarch chest check and was not 100% sure anymore.
I don't think it was anything important.
Speaking of nothing important, there's the spoon.
You're saying spoons aren't important?
I don't know. Actually, that's a good question. If you find an Edward at this point in time, do you take Spoonward?
I mean, we've seen a decent amount of vanilla in this seed. I need a spoon to eat it.
I mean, that is fair, but seriously though, like, we're probably going to find that pigtail at some point. You have a chance at finding a second adamant armor. How tempted are you if you just suddenly pop Edward at some point in time?
On Plumeria's side, just an Edward? Not really. JohnBirckhead's side, maybe a little more tempted.
I really want there to be like an Edward on the hook route and we get the hook soon. That would be fun. Free anchor, but you could also not anchor with that Edward.
Anchoring's optional anyway. Actually, have you seen Wyvern yet? Never mind, anchoring's not optional.
Ooh, there's the other half of Forge.
That, very much not optional. It's the kind of saying YOLO your anchoring. Yeah, YOLO anchoring works fine right up until you find Wyvern at, say, Sealed Cave.
Oh, I love Wyvern at Sealed Cave. That one's great. It's like a nice little vacation spot for him. John is going to go up here and do this tower, and unfortunately just continuing to fall in Plumeria's footsteps here, which, while it's all good decisions, is not going to really help him catch up any of this time.
John is following one of the mantras we say in Free Enterprise of do your objectives.
Definitely. He might be a bit happier once he gets through this and sees that Artemis bow and Coco shot. Plumeria not going to bother. He already has an Artie bow of his own, but that'll equalize a little bit of the gear advantage. Obviously, it's not an adamant armor, but it will help. So that will be a bit of a sigh of relief for him once he gets there.
I have noted we have not seen sirens in shops yet.
We haven't, but we're going to get a darkness crystal at some point in time. You want to demachine your mages up so that you can do reflect strats on Zeromus?
I mean, don't threaten me with a good time, but...
I like demachine. This is my controversial statement of the day. I like seeing how quickly a runner can properly execute a grind fight, and it's something that we haven't seen. That I've been told we will see more and more in brackets, but we have not seen so far in the group stages. So that would be a very interesting take on getting through this particular set right now. And there's a free Leviathan at Sylph, so Plumeria probably feeling a little bit like didn't need to spend all that money back at Dwarf Castle.
Yeah, that Leviathan costing only 20,000 GP, still 20,000 GP could be used on other things.
I mean, 20,000 is really a steal for an almighty deity of the oceans in some regards, so it's really, you can't not go for it. It's sort of like the giant packs of stuff when you go to Costco. It's like such a good value. I can't not have 300 bags of potato chips.
I would not want to be around 300 bags of potato chips ever. It would very quickly become 200 bags of potato chips.
I'm not saying it's a good idea or healthy, but it is an idea. And there's a Luca key, there's the Darkness Crystal from Sheila 2. We have moon access on Plumeria's side.
Also, that's 10 key items. So this mage party is starting to look better and better.
It's looking very good. That's also the Return the Pan objective already cleared out. So we're at 4 out of 7 objectives already. We could see something good out of this, and it looks like Plumeria is going to go ahead and check that Luca cave and just keep doing that, or possibly head to the Fey March.
I think that little dip was, do I want to grind with, oh, I don't have sirens, and then maybe U-turn.
Sirens or not sirens? That is the question. I would be, yeah, as PK was just saying in chat, sirens and moon character is tempting me to the moon at this point.
I would agree with that.
It's kind of, oh, Plumeria has not done the Fey March yet, so doesn't know it's an hourglass too. I thought he'd gone down here already. That makes a lot more sense now.
No, so Plumeria doesn't realize that sirens aren't here either.
No, but we'll probably be happy with those Bacchus wines at this point in time, especially with 2 Leviathans sitting here. You know, you can sell them off. You can sell off that samurai armor. Samurai armor is just kind of, you know, a check for some money later. So probably going to be happy with that. I don't know if you're in PlumeriaKnight's shoes, if you're particularly excited to take, you know, Fey March Gauntlet or Elements quite yet.
Plumeria, well, both our runners have access to float, so they can at least not get quaked down by the arachne that shows up.
That is true. I think they're both very doable fights at this point in time. You could probably reflect your way through that Elements fight as long as you can live through that Mylon phase. But they might be it's kind of one of those things where you have that cave value sort of as an objective kind of itching in the back of your mind. I'd be very tempted to see what that was first before committing the time, but it does look like Plumeria is going to go for it.
And choosing not to reflect, gonna just let turn Rosa loose.
The spot does not have a ton of health, so this is definitely doable, but it looks like we're going to go with Quake off of Palom and Artemis Bow Rosa just firing away.
Here we're going to see how much of a difference the Adamant armor really makes. Plumeria can get away with just zerking up Rosa, which allows her to basically ignore all the damage coming out.
Yeah, Adamant armor, again, quite a good item. And it looks like Plumeria is actually going to take the reset here.
Yeah, that's and Zeno kept pointing out that some of the forms are in fact resistant to air, which is the damage type that bows deal.
And it looks like we are going to move to straight reflect strats now, throwing up the Star Veils, throwing a Fire 2 with Palom, and presumably going to just queue up a Fire 3 with Tella here, throwing that Change Rod on first. This is should be a quick fight overall.
We see JohnBirckhead picking up his Legend Sword, just gonna pop immediately over and do Sylph Cave.
He's a bit of a ways behind at the moment. There's no real way around that. There are still ways for him to catch up time once we head to the moon. I'll be interested in seeing what he does, because I think in this case it's one of those things where he probably doesn't realize that he has ended up behind because he's probably not expecting it to be exactly Adamant armor, so he's not too incentivized to take a big risk, and that might be a bit of a problem for him in the long run.
No, and JohnBirckhead has played a great race. It's just Adamant armor doing Adamant armor things.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things where it's not like any of the decisions that have led to this point are decisions that you wouldn't make if you had the chance all over again, but they are leading him to be a bit behind. He could catch up if he just decides, you know what, I got a Darkness Crystal, I'm going to head up to the moon, and if these Fey March bosses end up being nothing, because Plumeria is spending a lot of time on this Mylon here in this Elements fight and might not get through it at this point.
Yeah, Mylon being kind of a jerk right now and keeps punching down the mages.
I think he's going to end up resetting again here. He's sort of questioning what the correct decision is. Maybe just going to Berserk and try and punch from here, though.
Okay, I see the plan. Although, Rosa's walled. Berserk is not going to do much. You have to chug some wine.
I think I would be very tempted to reset if I was going to do this strategy and just do it again, instead of trying to, like, push through at this point. We are on the Ruby phase, doing a good amount of damage, might be fine.
Yeah, Rosa put the Elven Bow on, so it's doing quad damage here.
Through the Ruby phase, I think we're home safe now.
We should be on that side. And you were completely correct, JohnBirckhead. Happy to see the Artemis Bow immediately bought one.
Absolutely, and speaking of things he's going to be happy to see, here's the question. When you have that Luca key, when you have that Darkness Crystal, do you just bail out and go to the moon? That has, to me, been the big question throughout the entirety of the group stages. When do you go to the moon? How hard do you commit? And that could make all the difference here.
The question here really comes down to, do I feel behind? So where would you go from here in JohnBirckhead's shoes?
If I was in his shoes, I don't feel behind, but I feel weak. So I'm considering going to the moon for the character check, if not anything else. Because any character up there could be big, and that might lead him to the moon. While you're there, you might as well at least peak cave value. You could, as PK just said in chat, do hair dryers. The worst thing that you could have happen is have your opponent find a pink tail down in that Fey March and then say find the hook off of this alt gauntlet. So that's a little bit unfortunate that pink tail was exactly there, but depending on where the hook is, it might not mean anything.
Right, if the hook is buried somewhere, say behind Baron, that second Adamant armor may never materialize on Plumeria's side.
Absolutely, but on the other hand, and sort of on the flip side, that might mean that John might never find that adamant armor himself, because if there is not anything that requires him to go down into this Fey March, you know, when you leave that Fey March behind, often you're kind of saying, this is the last thing I'm going to do, and he might not go back down there for quite a while.
JohnBirckhead is at least launching the whale, so could be doing exactly what you're saying, going up, peeking the character. Maybe check K value, could be King Queen Evelyn there.
I think that's the best option. I think there's probably some other options that could be at that Bahamut spot that are also things that he could deal with right now. He's not in the weakest space in the world right now at this point in time to seed, but he is definitely lacking strong more than I would say, you know, too weak to handle anything.
Yeah, JohnBirckhead can get through anything here. It's just, can he get through quickly?
Definitely. I'd also like to point out that PlumeriaKnight has, of course, gotten the Cure 1 drop off of this alt gauntlet, which could make all the difference in the end should you need a very, very small amount of HP and you want to use the turn to throw an item to get it.
And there's our sirens. I expect we're going to see JohnBirckhead sell the farm for those.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Get those sirens. I don't think we've seen hourglasses for sale anywhere or coffins for sale, so what grind you do with it might be a little bit rough, but you could head down Cave Bahamut and pop a couple of King Ryus. We're at 10 key items on John's side. He's in good shape. That's one of the best things he could find.
And Tella's got weak, so can easily clear them out. I believe JohnBirckhead still has at least one hourglass.
I believe I saw 2 in his inventory. They're unsorted, so they're like not stacked together, and so it's like 2 different instances of 1 hourglass, but I think he has a total of 2.
Well, 2 is still enough to take take a few fights. That's not the character you're looking for on the moon.
I mean, you want to berserk someone, kids? Better than the Rydia in John's case. Gonna go ahead and take that Sid up here on the moon, but where do you go from here? Where are all the characters that you associate with, you know, heavy power in these flags? Where's the Cecil? Where's the Fu? And it looks like John's gonna say, where's that hairdryer chest? I'm hoping for something good out of it.
JohnBirckhead going to try to channel some of that Morpheus luck and get an adamant armor out of here.
An adamant armor out of here would be the absolute best thing. This is not the best place to find them. The Lunar Path does not have amazing chances of having that tier 8 loot, but it is definitely possible. I want to say this is like an 18% chance or something like that on Too Wildish. I might be misremembering.
I don't have the chart in front of me. I don't remember it, so sure, I'll believe that.
Thank you for reminding me. I can just look up the chart. It is 18.7%, so a little bit better than that. But Plumeria is still on this gauntlet.
And JohnBirckhead, while this has all been going on, has gone to the moon, cleared the hair dryers out. They're doing a lot of work while this gauntlet is going on. And it's an armor, just not the one you're looking for.
You know, you want a 7-letter long armor piece, but not a Dragoon armor. Not a Samurai armor, an Adamant armor.
How about crystal armor?
Crystal armor you can at least sell and go buy like 20 more sirens at least. I know it's probably not 20, but I don't feel like doing math. It's too early for math. I just barely finished my coffee.
It's a weekend. We don't do math on the weekends.
Exactly. Math has taken the day off today. I believe that these two clappers are the last wave of the alt gauntlet here at this spot, so Plumeria should be through very shortly, and we'll see who's there. But John, going down Cave Value, we're going to see who the boss is very soon.
Yep, John giving us a peek, and that's Leviathan. That's actually not terrible at all.
That's pretty good, especially with lit arrows and an Artemis bow on Rosa. That's doable, very doable, and only a protect ring for that alt gauntlet on Plumeria's side. That is not what he needed to drop from there.
Yeah, so Team Fade March winning today.
Winning today with the asterisk that adamant armors are, again, very good armors to have, and it does lead to one of those indirectly.
Right, so we see Leviathan doing the first move. Tella's not going to be happy, but everyone else is still alive. The only thing Leviathan does is cast Ice 2, and this spot, not the most threatening magic.
No, not at all. Little Rosa hitting for like 1.2k, berserked up, going pretty fast here. Got good anchoring with that Sid with the Dwarf Axe on. We're in good shape. We just need to get up, enough health to let our two damage dealers live through here, and that should be it.
And we will need to Tella give us a little bit of healing.
Yeah, we could just pop a reflect on any of these party members and, hope that Leviathan hits them and does damage to himself, because that Ice 2 is going to hurt him pretty averagely at least, and, keep your sort of party safe, but not really needing it here.
I think the wall is more just to prevent the few hundred damage coming at your party.
Yeah, definitely. And also, if you want like a snack break, you can just like set your controller down for a bit, go make yourself a sandwich, come back and see what this cave value is giving you.
And I'm always looking for places I can take a snack break during a seed. Maybe go refill a drink, all sorts of things you can do while a reflect fight's going on like this. A reflect and Zerkin fight's going on.
That's why I like Berserk parties. You can take a break midway through the seed. Plumeria is on the moon now. This is unfortunate for John, because anything that he finds here is now going to be in Plumeria's hands very, very shortly.
And our tracker, Beauty and Discovery, pointing out that it's interesting. Neither of our runners poked their heads down in sealed cave to see what's there.
I think in John's case, he might be a bit more on the side of, I don't know if I can handle that sealed cave without a little bit of something to get me through it. Plumeria is a little bit more interesting in leaving that behind, but it's not, necessarily a bad decision.
And we're going to see decision time from Plumeria right here, seeing the sirens available. I would not be surprised to see exactly that.
Here is the big question. How much do you think that you need that in this case? There is the hook on John's side. That's spicy.
That's kind of bad news for JohnBirckhead, because that hook represents an easily accessible second adamant for Plumeria.
The good news is that the second adamant armor is not as much of an advantage as the first adamant armor is. The bad news is it's still an advantage, and that's still two adamant armors, but Plumeria is here on the moon. He has plenty of power right now. He knows he still needs at least that Sand Ruby to drop out, because we are just that Sand Ruby away from go mode at this point. The big question in my mind is, does he go and check that rat tail first? Or does he say, I'm on the moon, I need to check the rest of this while I'm here?
Yeah, it looks like JohnBirckhead is at least going to save scum the rat tail. It's a good idea. You can just, if you find a Sand Ruby here, you know you're done.
It is, and then the clock is really ticking on how quickly can John get through all of that stuff. This rat tail is one of the most important rat tail turn-ins I've seen in a while. What's it gonna be? That is an earth crystal.
Oh, that's interesting.
You checked it. You chased. That's
Yeah,
where
you
I'm
gotta
at on it.
chase. You gotta chase, and this could very quickly change what JohnBirckhead's party looks like.
It could, and again, that sort of changes back to the question on Plumeria's side of you have that rat tail in hand. Do you, at that point in time, go and check it? Or do you stay on the moon and check those 5 remaining checks you have up there, knowing that you should be able to get through those spots pretty quickly?
It's an interesting decision. I'm apparently not in any way in Plumeria's head, so your guess is as good as mine.
The thing is, it's one of those ones that I don't think there's a correct answer as much as there is like the right answer for the specific seed here. And I don't think that sometimes like the raw math of what is the most likely to drop you that exact sand ruby is entirely correct, because you have to consider how your opponent will be playing as well. I would be very tempted to clear out the moon while we're here. I would be very, very tempted, but I can see why you would avoid it.
And in JohnBirckhead's shoes, chasing the earth crystal right afterwards, you went for the safe scum. You got a chain. You have to chase it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where there's not like the idea of a sunk cost. We kind of think of sunk cost as like sort of bad thinking in most other contexts, but in this game, once you sink that cost, you need to keep sinking that cost. See what's at the end of it before you go. So this is a really good play here.
In a race like this, in a randomizer race like this, the worst thing you can do is go halfway through a check and then turn around. If value's at the end, you're probably losing the race. If your opponent went the other way and found value there, you're already behind them because you went halfway down one path already.
Definitely. And with that hook in hand, we'll see where Plumeria goes. I think the moon kind of plays into that a little bit of, there's an element of, all right, well, maybe I do a top-down moon play and hope I just hit that sand ruby early. There's also an element of, do I want to run down the entire moon? I don't have a pass. I don't really want to do it twice. It's a big question.
And Plumeria looks like he's going to be following JohnBirckhead back and safe on Rat Tail, probably head up Zod as well.
Yeah, this is unfortunately probably the worst thing for John in terms of that. He was probably, in this case, needing Plumeria to stay on the moon and kind of waste time not finding the sand ruby there. But at this point in time, it is a question of how much is that adamant armor going to make up in terms of time? Because if this does lead to the sand ruby, then John is ahead at the moment.
And with two adamant armors in hand, we know Plumeria is going to simply have more firepower to get through these checks.
Definitely. It's kind of a question of who is faster, the runner who is just running faster, or the one who has taken shortcuts to get there. And that's kind of where John is right now. Plumeria is only behind, just sort of in terms of where they are at the moment, because he spent all that time in the Fey March.
Right, but JohnBirckhead fading that is making this a very interesting race, especially depending where this sand ruby shakes out.
Definitely. I think there's a tendency when we look at like the at these flags to say, oh, well, you have an adamant armor, you've kind of won. But that's not true, and we're kind of seeing that here, that there is ways around it. There is Dupe Sid up here.
That's a dupe, all right.
Hey kids, you want another berserk?
We've decided one bearded old man isn't enough. We wanted two, but not the one with the glories flowing. There's the other bearded old man.
It's probably better for Plumeria than it is for John, as counterintuitive as that sounds, because Plumeria has the anchoring sorted out with that cursed ring. John does not have that cursed ring. I think you obviously still take the Fu over the Tella, but it's not as big of a benefit as it could be if we had something to deal with around that.
I just does. Yeah. So today's party brought to you by mages and glorious beards.
I love the Mage and Beard party. It's my favorite composition. It's the classic. Yong's like, hey, how come I don't get to be in this seat? It's going to be our boss here.
Well, if he would grow himself a glorious beard too, he could come along.
Oh, Yang with a beard just sounds... It doesn't... I don't know. I don't think it would look good on him.
Although, after years, he grows himself a sweet mustache, so close enough.
Well, we're through this fight. We'll see what the key item is from this tower. What is it? Do we find the Sand Ruby? Does that put us in go mode? Or does the chain keep going? Does this get to be Baron Key?
I'm going with package.
I'm going with pass. Pass, I think, is the second most interesting thing to find here.
That's the worst case scenario when you go to save scum a check. It leads you to a chain, that leads you to a silent staff.
That is not good, and it does look like John is just going to go ahead and do the hook route now. The downside to doing this hook route now is that is going to place him underground. If he checks Sealed Cave, that's good, but if he spends all that time in the Feymarch, that time in the Feymarch is what PlumeriaKnight is behind by at the moment, and he's already made most of it up, so that's not great. We do find hourglasses and coffins, though, so it's at least something.
Right, so for JohnBirckhead's sake, we need Sand Ruby to be in Sealed Cave.
More or less, yes.
Because as we're learning, two adamant armors are just going to make up time very quickly.
We're in a very delicate situation right now, is how I would put it. We are going to see that Rydia being given the boot over on Plumeria's side in favor of the Fu. And yeah, it's where does he go from here? Does he go straight down the hook route into Sealed Cave?
Kicking Rydia instead of Tella, that's an interesting decision. And right after beating Karate, he decides to join us.
Is this kind of like extended edition vanilla, where you beat Yang in the Baron Inn and then he rejoins you for Baron, except in this case, it's like you beat him on the top of the tower and then he shows up in Eblin Cave?
Yeah. We just got that BDU. You're a friend now, right?
Sometimes that's just how it be. And we're saying, nope, no friendship. Goodbye.
We've decided to go with the old anime trope of, I beat you, you're my friend.
You know, one thing I've noticed that's worth noting is that Plumeria is not making up as much time as I would expect him to make up in these checks versus John right now.
Very true. That is very true. I think it's partially because it might be partially because these are lower HP checks right now.
Yeah, definitely. I think right now the big question is, where does the Sand Ruby drop, and does it drop in a place where it won't matter anymore? Like, if it happens to be exactly Sealed Cave and both of our runners go exactly to Sealed Cave after this, then it might be a little bit of a time advantage for John, and we'll just come down to the Z fight at that point.
And with the parties our runners have, there is still time. Both runners are still going to need to take some sort of grind.
Oh, this seed has turned into such a weird little puzzle. I love it. It's not in any way, shape, or form straightforward where you go from here. There's so many different moving parts, and we really just need the first one to settle into place here.
You're gonna have to go to the comedy club first before we can get underground.
I think that's the first time I've ever heard that sound effect at King and Queen Evelyn feel appropriate for the boss that showed up there.
Oh, the good news, you don't really need to use Reflect to get through this, because this spot has no magic.
Yeah, it's more a waste of time than anything. I believe we have something at very least preventing the hold. I don't think it will prevent instant death.
I believe it's a crystal ring.
It's something. Plumeria has the advantage of having 2 adamant armors. An adamant armor blocks the demolish, if I'm remembering 100% right. Which
it blocks the demolish and the hold.
Yeah, this is real good for Plumeria here, but I don't think it'll make much of a difference with the Rosa and Fu still up over on John's side.
There was no real need to use walls here. This spot has, I believe, 1 roll.
Might not be 100% sure, and I feel like, you know, when you're not 100% sure, taking the safe route's worthwhile. Gonna feel a little bit bad about doing that after seeing the only 140 that the virus hits for into the 4.5k nuke, but this should be over pretty quickly still. I see what Plumeria is doing with keeping Metella around now. He's putting the adamant armor on the Fu.
Okay.
And so keeping Metella as an anchor, yeah.
So this makes sense. It's decided I don't feel like getting 1,000,000 XP on Iridia.
Don't feel like getting 1,000,000 XP on Iridia. Not entirely sure how I'm feeling about the 1,000,000 XP or however much it is on Porum at this point.
It's about 900,000 or so.
Yeah, I think this might be a play to saying, I don't know if I need anyone other than Fu and Rosa for the Z fight. Anyways, it's Antlion time.
Antlion, deciding to go on a little vacation from the moon. Antlion just didn't want to be left out of the seed.
I mean, in a way, I believe canonically, like, the tower is supposed to call down the giant from the moon, so it's kind of like moon connected in a way. It's like 1 degree of separation away from the moon. I might be misremembering vanilla lore here and just making it up as I go along, but it sounds like it could make sense.
Yeah, we'll go with it. Yeah, it's connecting enough. Antlion may have been figuring, they just, smelled moon on this. So we see JohnBirckhead doing everything to not attract or not take the counter hits.
Can be a valid strategy. This spot is not necessarily the most pleasant spot to have an Antlion fight, but I think we'll be through it pretty quickly. The question is how much time is Plumeria going to make up on this fight with the double adamant armor and just really tearing away at this Antlion here?
We see the nukes flying out for 7,500. And compared to John's... Oh, that was Quake, never mind. But JohnBirckhead is through.
He's through. The big question next is, where do you go from here? If he heads straight to that Luca cave, then he has a chance. If he heads straight to Feymarch, this becomes Plumeria's race to lose at this point.
And as we saw, the same question with Plumeria is, do you grind the kid to nuke?
I don't know. I don't know if grinding to nuke might be slower than just trying to do like a Berserk Rosa and then cast the food kind of thing, but you probably run out of MP. It's kind of many different questions. I honestly don't know because I haven't seen a party like this.
I think it comes down to, is Sandruby in Sealed Cave? If Sandruby's not there and you're going to have to make a trip back to the moon, having a second nuke caster speeds up the moon dramatically.
It speeds up the moon dramatically, but also you might not need to commit the time to a grind if you have to clear out the moon, because you can just clear out moon spots and get all your XP that way. So it's kind of a little bit of both sides there.
Personally, I'm a fan of just get nuked before going to the moon. I've seen it happen in this tournament already, where saying I'll get the XP on the moon is ended in disaster. It's happened to me already in the race.
Definitely. I think it sort of in this case too depends on how much moon you expect to be doing. If you're looking for just one key item too, then doing that grind makes a bit more sense, because you're not guaranteeing to get a ton of XP from it. You're only kind of guaranteeing one. It does look like Plumeria is going to do a little bit of a grind here.
And what level is that Palom? Was it 40?
I did not see, but that sounds right.
So 7, 8 eggs?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, that sounds about right too. It won't be that many in the end, and there is again the question of whether or not he feels the need to go quite all the way to nuke, or just barely below, and then like let the first spot he clears out on the moon get him there. It's kind of a bit of a question. Like, you know, if you're doing that near a Same Elder, it's not that threatening of a spot. You're probably fine without nuke for that one.
That's a very good point. Bit of a low roll getting the dragon out. We're gonna JohnBirckhead going to show us, is the value down here, or are we headed to the moon for our Sand Ruby?
I'm hoping for moon, but there is the Sand Ruby. That's go mode.
JohnBirckhead is in go mode.
Well, any of you who saw that Adamant armor pull at the start of Eblin Castle, like I did, probably were thinking this might not be a close one. This is a very tight race. Only officer soldier too. This is a completely free fight with that.
JohnBirckhead has a coffin, so can quickly dispatch to the officer, get a life glitch out for some extra XP before deciding what to do next.
I don't know how much of an advantage Plumeria has in terms of speed, and if that's going to compensate for how far ahead John is, depending on how much grind he decides to do too. This is a real, not shaky, that's not the right word, a real sort of volatile situation that we really won't know until we're getting right to that Z fight right now, depending on what our runners decide to do now.
We did see the cast on Birckhead's side. That was a shaky situation for a second.
Absolutely. Quake, very, very good spell. Gets rid of all of those soldiers basically right away. And yeah, we are on the way out of the sealed cave, Sand Ruby in hand, final objective ready to go on John's side. Does he do a grind?
I think he sees what characters in the... Is it med first?
I'm kind of tempted to agree. And then you throw something on them. If they're an edge, great. We probably still have all that entire edge starter kit that we got in the first 5 minutes of this seed.
If it's Vessel, we have an Excal.
If it's anyone else, have a nice day.
Could be Kane's, I think, the only other one left.
We haven't seen Kane. We haven't seen Edward yet either. Neither of which are going to be too tempting. Although, if you find an Edward and you want a fresh anchor, you can pick up that Edward and not have to go back to Mysidia to grab one.
That's very true. So who's in bed? Kane and Edward, I think, are the easy choices. Edge and Cecil, bit more of a spicy decision.
I think it depends on whether or not you would be tempted to grind beforehand. That is a Kane. I do not think you take that. Does he head back underground and just pop some eggs?
I don't think JohnBirckhead has anything for that Kane.
We have a white spear, I think. But I don't think that you get Kane quite to a high enough level to really make a huge difference when you could instead grind up and go reflect strats.
And Plumeria heading straight to Sealed Cave. We know this will get him into go mode.
Oh, this is a very nerve-wracking situation. Where do you go, John? Do you go and grind? I think you have to.
How many ethers and elixirs does John have?
I don't think it's enough to just get through the Z fight without, you know, some extra damage, and it looks like he is gonna head south. And is he going to the moon? Well, I guess he has the pass. He might be looking to do King Ryu's if he's doing a grind, because he's gonna have to walk the entirety of the moon anyways. And you might as well, with those hourglasses that we picked up in the Cave Eblin, just do your grind there.
Yeah, no pass in hand, so you gotta make this walk anyway.
Yeah, PK pointing out in chat that the Fu and Friends strat is also on the table still if you want to just do that.
That's why I was asking about ethers and elixirs.
I'll admit that I don't have a great memory of Fu and Friends, but that week being moved to that first spot in Fu's spell list tells me that we're going to see some King Ryu's here.
Plus the Sirens and Hourglass moved right to the top of JohnBirckhead's inventory.
True, but in my defense, that had not happened before I started saying that.
That's very true. And I was scanning through his inventory. I don't see a single ether elixir in there.
How much more efficient of a grind is King Ryu than eggs, if at all, is the big question.
If you can quickly dispatch King Ryu's and get life glitches, I think they're about equal. King Ryu's might be a little bit faster. Without any MP restoratives, I can't imagine we're not going to see Paladin go all the way to nuke here.
Oh, probably not. The only way around that would be you would have to do this weird thing where you like grind up some King Ryu's and then head down and then like use a tent or a cabin and then walk back up, and I don't think that's happening. But reflect strats, the good news about reflect strats, you only need to do about half the amount of damage to Zeromus that you would otherwise. It's obviously a bit less than that, but...
Yep, you only need to do 61,000 damage compared to the 106, I think. Off the top of my head, I think it's 106.
I don't remember off the top of my head either, because it's one of those things where it's fallen out of my mind, because in this tournament, you see so many, like, really power overwhelming, like the flags are designed to give, sort of fights where it's like, all right, we're gonna swing Excalibur Cecil and we're just gonna have this be over with pretty quickly. So I don't remember off the top of my head how much damage it takes.
Yep, and here we go on JohnBirckhead's side. He's gonna start with JohnBirckhead's gonna start his grind. PlumeriaKnight's probably gonna go find the cane and immediately walk down, having already done his grind. And I see level 53 Palace, that grind's finished.
Definitely. I think it's... Oh, this is so much of a question of speed here. I think that Plumeria might end up a little bit ahead when you include this grinding.
Not if he sticks a landing like that.
Who among us has not accidentally landed in the vicinity of the way back into the overworld?
I've done it.
I do it at least once a week. Take a save, pretend it's intentionally. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, PK.
It's like when you hit the rope of shame in the Luca cave and you go over and check the chest like, I was planning on doing looting on my way down here.
Yeah, you do that, take the rope of shame, loot the chest, find a Zeus Gauntlet in there. Yeah, I meant to go grab that Zeus Gauntlet.
Exactly, I had a sense. While we're in this spot where John is in this grind fight and Plumeria is basically on his way to run down the Lunar subterranean, I do want to give a quick shout out, first of all, to both of our runners for putting on a very intense race today. as well as to our restream team behind the scenes, Skull Kitty rolling a very wonderful seed, and Beauty and Discovery doing a great job keeping in track of it because this was going pretty quickly for a while.
And make sure to give both of them follows, as well as my co-commentator Ent, who has been keeping me in line this seed.
Only enough. This has been a very fun race to be on, regardless.
Some quick math says JohnBirckhead has one. Is this one or one more is it for the grind? So we may be seeing dueling Zeromus fights coming up soon.
Dueling Zeromus fights feels a little bit better for Plumeria than it does for John in this case? Question mark? But I'm not sure by enough if John starts moving before Plumeria gets to the spot that he's at for it to make
John
that much
needs
of a
one
difference.
more. It is one level short on Palom.
This is it. This is the last grind fight that we have going on here.
I saw something happen during this fight that might be a little sketchy for JohnBirckhead. Rosa jumped Palom.
Oh, that explains where the turn spend was there. That's going to slow it down a little bit, and we cannot afford slowing down this at all right now. There is the weak gone.
That Palom is not RA1.
And there goes Plumeria past the point where John's doing this grind. This is still going to be a very, very close race, but Plumeria is in the driver's seat right now.
Like I said, we are going to see both our runners get to Z at the same time. Plumeria taking a safety save, not gonna fault it. Not gonna fault him for that.
Safety save, battle speed down to 3. John gonna probably do the same. They're seconds apart at this point, but Plumeria's that little bit ahead, and this might be in his court here.
JohnBirckhead getting the party set up in the correct order for this. You want your white magic caster in slot 3 if you're doing flex strats. But then I'm seeing some flags show up in chat.
Absolutely. As we're walking down the beautiful glass floors of the Lunar subterrane, the home of Zeromus, we need to mention that it has to be the home of Zeromus. It is not quite technically possible to move him, and even if so, Zeromus is just such an iconic fight. It's such a difficult fight. You wouldn't want to find Zeromus sitting at the top of Mount Ordeals necessarily, even though, the tiles are the same. So we like to change up Zeromus' appearance. And those Z question mark flags can only mean one question. If you'd like to give us that question today, MGK.
Yes, that question is, whose butt are we going to kick today? So, along with various ancillary questions. Does Butt have a hat?
For everyone playing along at home, now is the time to pull out your butt question questionnaire pamphlet as well to play along with questions such as, is it cute? Does it have one? How many? That sort of thing. It's fun for the whole family.
Scala asking, is Butt a cat? Well, Bubsy is in the pool.
I am very much on the edge of my seat right now. In fact, my chair has armrests that fold up. I have put them in the up position, so I have 3 sides of edge of the seat to be on at all times. This is going to be a very, very close race, and it looks like prettiness, dudamus, I guess, in this case.
We've got some Vizcaya going on here. And JohnBirckhead revealing the butt very shortly after Plumeria.
This is within seconds of each other. This is what we watch these races for in a way, these very tight, close finishes. I don't believe either runner has a Silk Web to slow the Zeromus down any, so this is going to be a full speed run, and we're already getting the damage going out here. Unfortunately, Palom that is the worst thing that you could possibly have happen. The Palom falling to that nuke. Really want that to land on one of your adamant armor characters who will probably survive.
Or ideally bouncing off the wall. Yeah, that represents a huge loss of damage for Plumeria. That could be what JohnBirckhead needs to come back, or to make up time.
Oh, and the same thing happens on his side. The Palom not quite going down though, staying up.
JohnBirckhead's Palom deciding, I'm going to dodge. Does not take the full 4 rolls from that.
Very lucky there. Big Bang coming out over on Plumeria's side. Nerf, not really that much of a threat. Is going to knock over Tella. Still needs to get that Palom back up. Gonna have to use a turn of Rosa there. Meanwhile, John just able to keep plugging away at the damage as long as he can get a heal up on that Palom in time. And he has a Cure 3. It's in the air.
Yep. The advantage of Sid here is he makes a fantastic chemist. Unfortunately, not coming out in time to stop the Big Bang, and I don't think Palom's surviving this one.
Not at all. And tried to run buffer it, unfortunately not able to do so, but we know that Sid will survive, so that getting that Palom up does not require using a turn off of Rosa, that she can be slinging one of those white spells to reflect back on, so this might still be advantage John in that particular department.
Plumeria's Fu is out of MP. That's an unnerfed Big Bang coming out. This could be disastrous. Rosa surviving it. However, I think this white's going to auto-target back onto herself. Oh, okay, it stays on Fu.
This is recoverable, but this is very dangerous.
Rosa can full heal herself, but has to get someone else up.
Has to get someone else up, has to have them live long enough, has to have them able to do things. John able to just keep this damage going. I think John might have snuck past at the last second just off of this Artemis fight.
We have an unnerfed Big Bang coming out on JohnBirckhead's side. Sid and Rosa both surviving this one.
Yep, Rosa taking another virus, looking still a bit weak over on Plumeria's side, needs to throw out another heal at this point in time, is going to get the Life 2 cast off onto Palom to keep the damage going. Meanwhile, John able to keep the damage running here, unfortunately going to pass that white right onto that unwalled nuke and down, or unwalled Fu, and down goes Fu again.
And we got shakes going on both sides.
You can really feel the tension behind this fight right now. This is a very close fight. Another Big Bang coming out over on John's side. Should be fine for both of them. Both of them have very high HP. We just need to recover. Plumeria looking like he's in recovery now at this point. Here comes another Big Bang over on his side. As long as it doesn't high roll that Palom out, it should be all right. And down goes Palom, 2,600.
That was a 9-roll Big Bang, and Palom got high rolled by it too. Yeah, this is revenge of the Prinnies.
Absolutely. Do not ever take this Z fight for granted. It is always a very, very tense moment. We've got the Star Veil coming up on Palom again. I think Plumeria is just saying, I need to go for it. Going to try and get the damage out at this point.
And JohnBirckhead has stabilized a little bit. Is going to just try to push some more damage now. We see a shake, the white and the nukes are both fire on that side.
Can't be too much left on either side here. It's very, very close at this point in time. Another 7k damage going on to Zeromus, and here comes the white off of Rosa.
I don't think that nuke from Palom's going to resolve. I saw the shake. Big Bang should be next on Birkhead's side.
That should knock over Palom, but only Palom there.
We see the crack bang flash on Plumeria's side.
That is the kill there with the very, very scary Zeromus fight. PlumeriaKnight looking to be our winner here at the time of 1:36.09. Very, very good run there.
Yeah, great job recovering on that Zeromus fight. That was sketchy for a while.
I don't think that anyone could have expected this race to be as close in the end as it ended up being. We'll see if he wants to come in for an interview here. But yeah, I believe we're gonna let John finish out the race first here, though.
Yeah, we're gonna see if PlumeriaKnight has recovered yet from this.
Absolutely. The nuke coming out, landing on Zeromus at this point in time. John should be close to finishing. Is that it? That is it.
That is
A time of 1:37.02.
Okay, that seemed was exhausting, and I was just watching it.
So that was a race. I need a moment to recover from that, but
Yeah, our runners fortunately have had 15 minutes to recover from this.
I believe we're joined by PlumeriaKnight. First of all, GG's on your win. That was a very intense last couple of minutes.
Yeah, it was.
So I want to start out just by asking, what were your general thoughts on the seed today? Because that was a very interesting sort of way it puzzled out in the end there.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to know where all the other characters were. Where's Cecil? We found Kane at the end at least, but Cecil and Edge are MIA today.
Yeah, definitely. And then, you went through that got to that Zeromus fight at the end of the seed, going those full reflect strats. You had a little bit of trouble with your characters falling there, did an amazing job of recovering from, I believe at one point, only having Rosa alive with like 500 HP left.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts going through that?
Well, I committed the classic blunder of Cure 4 before I verify that Palom lives. So that was the first mistake. And after that, it was just, I got down to it. I had one Star Veil left, so I was walling Rosa to maybe, I don't know if the virus was coming out next or the black hole. So I didn't know if she'd be able to white herself to finish it if that second nuke didn't do the job. So, and then all the time I'm thinking, should I reset? Should I reset? Is this lost? But somehow she and Palom pulled it through.
I mean, I'm still in awe from that fight. I'm still recovering because both of you had just the most intense Zeromus fights I've seen on these flags. And, you did pull out the victory there. You did, one big difference that sort of ends up being between you is you did end up taking those Feymarch fights. What led you to want to go down there and just sort of clear that out before heading anywhere else?
Yeah, just kind of the Feymarch freebie mostly, and then just not wanting to commit to the moon without the pass, without maybe, if I leave like a package Cecil or package Edge or Earth Crystal behind, then I'm not gonna feel good about the seed because I have to do the grind to nuke and white. Then it's just gonna cost time. But in the end, the alt gauntlet really kind of slowed me down. I needed to probably put the Adamant on Palom for that one, just to make it go quicker.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you put on a clinic in getting through this seed, honestly, once you really got rolling there. And I think sort of the last big question I have about your routing in terms of the seed is, were you at any point in time tempted to try and clear out the rest of the moon while you were up there? Or was that just enough to say, you know what, there's no circumstance in which I want to try and clear this moon right now?
I faded Sealed Cave because both Baron and Earth Crystal were still out there, so if I got that, it was potentially a massive time sink. But once I got the hook, then that gave me the incentive to go right back down there and check it. And with the Earth Crystal in tow as well, there was only one chance to get that Baron Key sidetrack quest, which itself would have been, 2 more chances for the Sand Ruby. So felt pretty good at that point to commit to it.
Definitely. Dave, did you have any questions for PlumeriaKnight?
You covered the big ones I had already.
Oh, on
Just,
that.
So you're in the brackets. Your first round opponent is Luke. Do you have any? Are you gonna be spending this next week preparing for this?
I'll definitely practice a little. First, let me say GG to John. He did a great job in this tournament, and sorry that only one of us can move on. It's been a great group, and yeah, I'm looking forward to brackets as well. I'm not too familiar with Loof. I know they're a really good player, but so I'll have my work cut out for me, that's for sure.
Definitely. Plumeria, did you have any final thoughts for us today?
Yeah, goodbye, Foo. Goodbye, Cecil. We're gonna miss you guys.
You've showed us that you're already perfectly willing to take a seat without them, seeing what your final party looks like.
Fair enough. Thanks for the restream.
And thank you so much for putting on that great show and for joining us for this interview. And wish you the best of luck in brackets and starting a week from Tuesday.
All right, thanks. Looking forward to it.
And with that, I believe we're going to try and get JohnBirckhead in for an interview now at this point in time. Quick reminder to you all, we do have a couple other races going on later today. We will be sending you over to one of them right after this, but we are now joined by JohnBirckhead, our unfortunate second place finisher today, but putting on an incredibly good show. First of all, GG's on a very well-run race.
Thank you very much. GG's and GG's to Plumeria, of course.
So sort of walk me through your, sort of first thoughts on this seed here with, not a lot of power early on and just a real kind of interesting twisting path to get to that final objective.
Yeah, I guess if I'm not going to make brackets, I can go ahead and have one tournament match where it's basically like I'm in brackets, since we had, I know we have Foo eventually, but I think for our runners in the next round, they'll be doing a lot of mage strats, so I felt okay with the beginning. It was funny because I had such a hard time with Odin at Baron 2, with my tiebreaker with Mecha. I was like, oh, not this time. Got a power strip lit arrow, so that kind of made me laugh, and I felt like I was making a pretty good time. And then when I saw everything was wrapped behind Cave Magnus, I wanted to treat Rosa as my melee character, so I went to Evelyn. And seems like every race I learned something new, and today I learned that Rosa cannot equip the Zeus Gauntlet, because I probably would have kept looking around. I thought she could, and she also can't. But I was able to go ahead and get through Magnus regardless, and then I fell behind. Once that fight took a while, I fell behind, and then forgetting to put on the equipment for the Ashura fight, I felt really behind. And then everything else was just kind of making decisions on the fly, freebies, objectives, yada, yada, yada.
Definitely. One of the sort of differences in your routing from Plumeria was the decision to, in your case, not go down and take those Fame Arch fights. Were you at all tempted to go down there and take those fights at any point in time, or was that something where you saw what they were and you were just thinking, you know what, this is not going to be worth my time?
Elements was tempting because you can reflect it, and it shouldn't, assuming you can survive, it shouldn't have been that bad. But I fell behind after the Ashura wipe, and Cave Magnus it just felt like it took forever. And I had a lot of checks at that point. I hadn't done Tower, so that's 2 checks. I hadn't done Pan Bonk, that's 3 more. And then if there's some doable progression, then so be it. Plus, I knew that I still had to launch the Falcon, which meant that I had to get back underground anyway. So, I was actually, ironically, I was tempted to do the Gauntlet once I got back underground because, Plumeria is Plumeria. Anyone that's seen him in previous tournaments or listened to him in chat, and I've had the pleasure of talking with the Artie group in Discord, like, the dude's awesome. So I was like, well, he might not do this. So when I came back underground, I was thinking about maybe doing that. But I figured if Luca hadn't had the goods, I was sitting there. I was using that Luca check as time to be like, all right, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And honestly, once I got Sand Ruby, I was like, well, I don't have to make this decision. It could have gone easily either way, but because I felt behind, I wasn't terribly tempted to go ahead and do it once I first got down there. And then the decision was thankfully made for me.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things where, you know, it ended up being the right decision there. You almost pulled off the beating 2 Adamant armors there by less than a minute. I really want to shout out how impressive that run was, too.
Your Z fight was yours. Yours got a bit sketchy. Just recovering from the down to just Rosa and Sid. Very impressive.
Thank you. I would equate it to when my daughter was little and tried to pour her own juice, and then, you know, it went everywhere and she was able to clean it up. I mean, it was impressive for my 3-year-old. So I think that Z fight was 3-year-old cleaning up her mess. Impressive. That was because I saw the, you know, I had the race room up so I could put in my dot done, and he started to put his in just before I got there. I was like, oh baby, here we go. And then I was like, don't hit Palm, don't hit Palm, don't hit Palm. And then they hit Palm. I was like, oh baby, here we go. This is just gonna be, you know, just a hot mess of putting out fires. And I knew it was close. Like I knew I probably could have gotten that last, because I was running out of Star Veils. And I knew I was close that I could probably just get one direct nuke, just get a direct nuke, get it to go. But before I even had to make that decision, he was done. So I was like, all right, well, no, might as well play it safe. So. And go ahead and get through it. But yeah, that was that was a, you know, trying to remember. Okay, he's gonna virus now. He's gonna black hole now. You know, Big Bang now. That was a mess. That was a mess.
Definitely. And unfortunately, this does mean that your time in the tournament has come to an end. What's next for you from here? You know, are you looking forward to the next tournament? You're looking forward to just, you know, being around the community? What is next in your plans around Free Enterprise?
I mean, I love being around the community. You know, I mean, this game has a lot of nostalgic value for me as a child. It's funny because my brothers and I, when we were kids, we had a Final Fantasy IV save slot that was like 99. Like we maxed out everything. And the background color is almost identical to Plumeria's. So every time I see Plumeria's stream, I get like this like very vivid memory of like playing with my brothers. But honestly, what keeps me coming back is the community, because everyone is just awesome. It's just awesome, and I love seeing it grow. And I know people are maybe doing GDQ submissions and to get a little more exposure. Like it's the community that makes it. You know what I mean? I really wanted to go to brackets, but that being said, there is a little bit of relief. Like again, I really wanted to go, but I think maybe just taking a step away for a couple days. My buddy Kenshin is big into Crystallis. There's a Crystallis rando. I might go ahead and kind of dip into that. Maybe looking at the async ladders. My work schedule's a little crazy, but maybe some of the async ladders might be fun. I haven't done any of those. Going back to Seeds of the Week, you know, it was not. There's no shame in losing to someone like Plumeria. You know, I'm lucky enough to be on the Restream team, so maybe doing some tracking or commentary for some of the races that are coming up. This is very exciting around tournament time, and you know, when the next tournament comes around, I'll be happy to hop in.
Absolutely. NG Dave, do you have any questions for John here?
No more questions. Just you've had a fantastic run through this tournament, John. Just making this play game like this, and I hope to see you again in ZZ5.
Yeah, that's the plan. That's very kind of you to say. Thank you both for doing commentary. Beauty, thank you for doing the tracking. Scala, the heart and soul of the Free Enterprise community, thank you for doing Restream. And of course, thank you to Plumeria for just a wonderful race.
Absolutely, and thank you for both joining us for this interview and for running a race. And again, GG's on your run, because it was definitely one to be proud of.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
And with that, I believe we have reached the end of our stream for today. We are going to be passing you over to Free Enterprise 2 for the McBain versus Zeke race. That is, I believe, the Defense Sword final there. The winner will go on to, or Defense Sword play-in, the winner will go on to face Rybon in the brackets. So definitely one worth watching. And again, I want to thank the behind-the-scenes team, Scala Kitty on the Restream, Beauty and Discovery on the tracking, and NG Dave. I believe that's going to be it for us today.
Yes, that'll be. Yep, we are done here. Just remember, no spoiling this race, or you will get the bonk.
Absolutely, and we'll catch you all the rest of the afternoon with plenty of action here.
Okay, so goodbye from us and enjoy the next race.